Hour number 2, Chris Brown, Steve Tasker with you, and joined now by ESPN NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky, whose appearances on One Bills Live are presented by Caesars Sportsbook, an official mobile sports betting partner of the Buffalo Bills. And Dan, will start with the game that was and then transition to the coaching decision that was made yesterday. And look, once again, Bills fans are up in arms because the game's outcome, I think you could argue, was compromised by some officiating at the end of the game, and the Bills once again are on the wrong side of it. Mm-hmm. Admittedly, though, the Bills did not play their best. 5 turnovers, a glaring example of that. But I guess we should start with the most controversial call in the game, which was the Brandon Cooks reception/interception. And my point of view is this: he secures the ball, goes to the ground, and then is tapped by the defender, who ultimately wrestles the ball away from him. But as soon as he's down on the ground and he's touched by the defender, in my mind, the play is over, and anything that happens after that is immaterial or irrelevant and doesn't need to be judged, ruled upon, or officiated.
Yeah, that's one that I'm still trying to figure out. And I understand that it's a difficult play to officiate, and it's easy for a lot of people, freeze frame, all that stuff. What I don't understand about it, because everybody has littered the rules and the steps and all that, it looks like Cook goes up, makes the catch, 2 feet down, hits the ground, and then as he hits the ground, the ball is getting ripped out, and the ball never hits the ground. And so I'm trying to, because one of the things that makes a catch is you have to make a move or an act common to the game, right? You have to make a football move. I don't know what the football move is on the ground. Like, what would that be? And so I struggle to see. I don't know how McMillan can, and how long does he have to be on the ground with the ball before McMillan does pull it away for it to be a catch? Is it a time thing? Is it a move thing? There's no other body part that can hit the ground. So I get it. It's confusing, certainly.
Not to mention the fact that Walt Anderson, in explaining it on NFL Network the next day, felt that the ball came loose immediately, and perhaps in real time it did, but that's all the more reason to slow it down and review it and see that he's down by contact. And then we saw 2 other examples, one in each of the other 2 games that day or the next day. You know, in the Patriots game, Hutchinson hits the ground, knee down, ball ripped out. He's credited with the reception. It's a very similar play. And then you saw in the Bears-Rams game, Devontae Adams, same exact thing. Ball gets ripped out. His knee is down. They rule him down by contact. And I think it's the inconsistency, Dan, that breeds the conspiracy among fans. The inconsistency of the officiating creates the conspiracies that fans have about games being rigged.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and even in the NFL's language, it says, in a pass game, a tie goes to the passing team. So there's a lot of that play that looks like a tie, and credit McMillan, but then that would be ruled to the passing team. And I know I've seen clips of like, well, I mean, there's a ball where Cooks is down the left sideline. He runs a double move, not the one later in the game, but double move. He gets hit like 11 yards and totally impacts the throw and the connection, and it's not called for illegal contact. There's a move where the defensive tackle for Buffalo, I think it might be Daquan, beats the guard. It's 1st and 20. It's an incompletion, but he's getting his jersey literally on film. You could see 3 feet of jersey getting pulled, no flag thrown. And I understand, I believe there was a miss on a potential hold against Buffalo versus Denver, and that doesn't get thrown. So, yeah, it's that inconsistency, and I understand it. I understand the frustration behind it. I wish there was a different answer, but it's hard for me to watch it and be like, yeah, that's a pick. I think that I struggle with that, yes.
And one of the things we said in light of the last 24 hours here in Buffalo, it seems that kind of loss isn't as unique as each one of these losses has become. And now that there has been 6 of them, it seems more of a trait and a characteristic rather than bad luck. Hence the change at the top here in Buffalo.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like for a couple years now, it's been, how do they pull themselves off the mat and go at it again? How do they get through September, October, November, December and not have the demons of the past? And I think, Steve, like there's a couple things that can be true. One, you get into these games, and I think it's easy for me to say this, but I do think it's a reality of like, hey, don't allow it to come down to the end like that with your play throughout the game. Again, you're playing against really good teams with really good players. So don't allow it to come down to that. But at some point, when it comes down to that, don't you feel like at one time you might catch the break, so to speak? And so, yeah, I think the way that they've ended, almost what feels to be a deja vu type of experience, had to be a part of letting go of I think, universally thought to be very, very good coach.
Yeah. And clearly very good has not been good enough, and that's why the decision was made. Looking ahead now, and seeing that Brandon Beane is carrying more authority in the front office, and we don't know this, but it would seem, based on that new structure, that whoever the new head coach is presumably reporting to him, and then he's reporting to Terry Pegula. Do you think that would, if that is in fact the arrangement, how much could that whittle down the coaching pool in your estimation? How many head coaches do you think need direct communication to the owner?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of them, but they're gone. Like Mike Tomlin isn't going to coach this year. He would have been somebody that I would have said that the cachet go directly to the owner. Jim Harbaugh. So again, I think that or John Harbaugh, excuse me, he would have been one. And it seems that he got that in New York, but I would imagine the other people that at least are in that immediate thought for being in that role. It doesn't seem like they have maybe the background, the cachet, the at least past success to demand that. And so those are always unique situations that sometimes they work for places, don't work for other places. But I do know this, it's a job that comes with a great situation, but great expectation. And you have to go do what most coaches haven't been able to do anywhere, let alone in Buffalo. And that's, you got to go win a Super Bowl to be a clear upgrade. And, certainly a place capable of doing it because of some of the talent and obviously Josh, but you're walking into a very, very difficult place to go and become better than the previous guy.
Yeah, and to that end, and you're talking about perhaps less cachet for a coaching candidate, that would seem to indicate younger and perhaps less proven per se in a head coaching role.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a giant dice roll. It is, and again, I think this is a situation where you understand it. And if you've been around the NFL and if you've paid attention to Buffalo, you can sit back unemotional and understand the move while also sitting there saying, is it the right move? Of course, you can't say that right now because you don't know who the next person is or how good they're going to be. And there's no coach out there right now that's a better coach than McDermott, or at least as proven as Sean McDermott. We'll see. And so, yeah, I would think younger. I would think maybe a different philosophy. And I don't know if there's truth to this, but Shefty reporting yesterday saying that there was at least a league-wide belief that in those games, the team played tight as those games went on, certainly post the 13-second game against Kansas City. So maybe a coach that brings a different type of vibe in those moments. But, this is all, throwing darts at a chalkboard type of thing.
Yeah, and you alluded to it a minute ago. The floor, forget about the ceiling of a Super Bowl and the championships and all of that, a possibility with a quarterback like this, multiple championships, all of that's, sky high. The floor is incredibly high in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
12, if the guy comes in, goes 10-7, he stinks.
Yep.
That's tough. And you got to know that when you sign your name. Is that right? That's what you're looking at.
It's the same situation that you can literally go laterally to Baltimore. And I know that we often do this because of the quarterbacks and some of the shortcomings that have happened for the teams in the playoffs. But yeah, you're walking into a place that has such a high annual expectation of who are we? These aren't goals anymore. Teams have goals: win the division, host a playoff game, get the 1 seed. Those are goals for 26 teams. It's the expectation in Buffalo because of what has transpired over the last almost 8 years. And so, yeah, this is a very, on one side, a very appealing job, and on the other side, you better be ready for the heat, because if you don't go and at least get to the AFC title game, at least you are 2 years of failure, and that's a very tall mountain to climb.
Yeah. Roster wise, Dan, looking at this and where the Bills came up short, what positions stand out to you the most that are in need of upgrades?
Yeah, you have to get more dynamic on the perimeter. Yes, you do. And I know that they've tried, Palmer and Keon, but you have to get more dynamic on the perimeter. I absolutely believe you need more of a game changer in both parts of the defense. You need a game changer in the front seven, and you need a game changer in the back seven. So, we'll see. Maxwell not being healthy obviously was a big part of the playoffs, but in Cole's emergence. But I still think you need more dynamic playmaking on the back end. Certainly a pass rusher that is going to be more commanding in those situations, and then more dynamic athletically. But there's good bones. I know a lot of people are like, man, this roster's just not great. I don't necessarily see it that way. I do believe that this is a good football team, a talented football team that realistically is, a piece. I don't want to say a piece or two, but probably 2 or 3 additions if you hit in critical areas, are a really good football team, really good roster. Obviously, it's a very good football team. So I don't think this is you gotta tear it down to the studs, or there's a lot of holes. I don't see it that way as some other people do.
And one of the things that happens in these coaching searches, and now we see, 4 of the vacancies have been filled already around the league, the head coaching positions. How big of a hurry do you have to be in your opinion, Dan?
Steve, my answer would be this. If the Bills and the Pagula family and Brandon Beane decided to move on from Sean McDermott and did not know exactly who they were going to hire, or the 2 or 3 people that were going to be from that pool, then that's a massive mistake on their end. So I don't think you have to rush this, but if they went into this blind and we're just going to go and cross their fingers, that's a big misstep. And yeah, then you would want time to be of the essence, but I would be surprised if that was the case.
Dan, thanks for all your insight all season long. As you know, we appreciate it, and we look forward to catching up with you in the fall again. So thanks for a full season of chock full of nuts knowledge. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I love being on with you guys. You guys are both good people, great football talk, and trust me, even not being a Bills fan, I feel for Bills fans experience it again one day. Just keep saying one day.
Yeah.
All right.
As
Thanks,
they
Dan.
say,
Appreciate
at least
you.
one before we die. Take care, Dan.
Yeah. Bye, guys.